Hi friends, welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. I'm Rita, and let's see here, I'm just kind of straightening out my camera. Today I wanted to share part 2 of how to use the decorative masks. And before we do that, just quickly I want to invite you to hop on over to Rita's Paper Motif. There you can view tutorials, and you'll find on Monday you'll find the YouTube link to watch this via YouTube. And if you're watching here live on Facebook, I just want to ask you to consider following me, and also sharing the video with your crafty friends is a very nice compliment. Also, if you're watching here on YouTube, then please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that bell icon so that you'll be notified of any upcoming content that I share. So let's talk about, or let's go back to Monday when I was sharing some cards. We made a couple cards together, but shared some cards that used these decorative masks, and I'm going to show them to you in just a second here. But here is one of the cards. Now, we didn't make this on Monday, but I shared with you how I made it. This is a what we call a fractured card. They're pretty popular right now, but we use the butcher block mask, and also let me just grab that. The butcher block mask, and also this mask that I just love. It's kind of like it has diamonds, and then it has like little flowers inside. So you get this this imprint. And so I shared with you that I just layered the masks on my layer that I was going to ink up, and I just layered them like this so that they were straight and that they were flush with each other. And then we could do one layer at a time. And then I just did the butcher block with my Memento black. I did it at the upper left hand corner and at the bottom right hand corner, and then just opposite for the, I call it the deco mask. And then just the diamond shape, which is a 2x2 square turned, and then the 3/4 inch strips that just kind of fracture the design. So we talked about this on Monday, and we also made on Monday this card, and that is using that favorite mask of mine. It's that, I call it the deco mask again. But we used that with the Gorgeous Grape ink, and then afterwards we used some glitter paste, and it gives this print, or this design, it gives it some oomph, and you can definitely feel the texture. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it definitely does have, it's glittery and kind of glimmery. So I really love it. And then we just took the Label Me Lovely punch and punched a sentiment strip thing here. And then later I came back and just decorated it with, I used some stamps from the Heavenly Hollyhocks. And even though I think it's supposed to be like a branch, like a sprig, I used it as kind of like a lupine, and just did it in the Gorgeous Grape, and then I die cut some little leaves to go there, and then just a butterfly to tie it all together. So yeah, we made this card on Monday, and then we also so we're using the glitter paste plus the ink and the mask to get this nice textured layer. And then we also used this mask that has guess I didn't get it out. Let me get it out. We used this mask that has a lot of space in between, so it's almost like a lattice or like a chicken coop wire thing design. And we used that on a piece of basic white that was die cut with the contour layering dies. And then we just placed that on that piece of white, basic white, and put the spaces, and then we just pressed on the gold leafing, and then that's how we got this design. But you can see that it's very golden, and you know, you can, when you try this yourself, you can put it on any background you want. I did choose Mossy Meadow, but I think it would go great on Starry Sky or Night of Navy or even Moody Mauve. So yeah, I hope that you try that. And we talked about how to use that gold leafing because trust me, it can make a mess if you're not careful. All right, so today I wanted to share with you some cards that we're going to make. And before I do that, just let me, hopefully I can find that page. I just lost my marker. Oh, here we are. This is the page that you can find those masks, and it is on page 136 in our annual catalog. And so these are the artistic masks that they're showing you here. But they're relatively inexpensive. You get a package of 5 for like $10. So that's a really good purchase. And because you can use it in so many ways, it just really is worth your dollar there. So let's get into today's cards. Yeah, I'm going to move things out of the way so we have a little bit of room. I'm going to bring out those masks so you can look at them while I'm putting myself together. I kind of got busy with something and almost, well, I was late. All right, so these are the 5 different masks that come in the package. This is kind of an unusual mask, but you can use this mask for designs on your cards, and then you could create a background with them. You could also take the insert that pops out, and you could use this as, sorry about the crinkling there, you could use these as masks to make your sentence strips. So if you put this down and then you did your ink blending on top of it, when you lift this up, you're going to have that white spot where you could stamp your sentiment. So that's one of the masks. We're not going to use this one today. And then we have, of course, that, I call it the Art Deco mask, and we have that as well. We also have like that chicken coop design as well. Today, I want to focus on using these 2 masks with some different type of medium. So let's go ahead and begin with the first card that I wanted to share with you. And I'm going to tell you what you need, and then we'll get into making it. So you are going to need an 11 by 4 1/4 piece of basic white. Now I went ahead and scored it in the middle at 5 1/2. And I do want to apologize because I don't know how I got into the bad habit of saying 8 1/2 by 11 1/2, but it isn't. It's 8 1/2 by 11. So just if you can remember that, it's a bad habit and I'm having a hard time breaking it. So anyway, this is our card base. It's an A2 size. We're also going to need a piece of black, basic black cardstock. This measures 4 by 5 1/4. This is going to lay on top of our base, our card base here. I like to do these bottom layers so that my top layer will fit right on top, because not only does it make the card pop, but it's like a finishing touch. So I kind of equate that with, you know, when you're painting a room and you have the walls, just that perfect paint, it looks so fresh and clean. Well, what makes it look even better is when you paint those baseboards, or, you know, just so that they sparkle too. It's just like a finishing touch, and that's what I feel that this does to my cards. And so I seem to tend to lean towards black because it goes with most of the colors, but we're going to see today that that's not always the case. But let's go ahead and get started with this. So this is the top layer that we're going to be using our masks on. And we're going to pull in some chipboard. And this chipboard can come from, you know, when you get your designer series paper, then this is usually in the envelope to keep that paper firm and standing up. So, you know, if you don't have this, that's okay. You can always use part of a cereal box. So, you know, save those cereal boxes if you want to really do a lot of ink blending, and I do encourage you to try that. Then just save those cereal boxes and just cut them up as you need them. So we're going to go ahead and secure this piece of basic white. I'm just going to make a donut out of my ever lovely green painter's tape. I use this because unless I just really leave it for a long time or really press it down hard, it pulls off and doesn't tear the paper, which is what I want. And I'm going to try to stick it in the middle, although it's not a huge deal because you can work around that. But what we're going to use is we're going to use this square mask, and I'm only going to use a portion of it. So I am going to line that up, but before I do that, I did want to mask off an area. I want an area that's not going to have any ink on it right now, and I want it to be white. So what I did is I cut out a circle out of the largest circle dies. You can see I've already used it, right? We're just going to turn it over because I'll tell you, in my studio, the basic white is coveted, and so I don't want to use it unless, I don't want to waste it. And so I'm going to offset it a little bit, the circle, the side, and then I'm just going to go ahead and use some more of that handy dandy painter's tape. We're going to make another donut, and then just stick it here so that, and I'm going to hold this up so I can really see, make sure. I kind of wanted it in the middle and sticking out a little. I don't think it's a huge deal, but that's just kind of what I wanted. And then I'm going to take my mask, and remember I told you that it's a good idea to kind of make that white layer be in the middle. Well, this is when we're not going to do that. I'm going to line up, and I'm pulling it towards me. I'm going to line this mask up with the left side, the side and the bottom of this basic white layer. And it's important that you do line it up because you'll see why in a minute. If you're not lining it up, then your blending thing is going to be off. So let me just, I have to pull it closer, I'm sorry. That's part of aging, I guess. All right, and then I know I moved it. Then I'm going to secure it down with the tape. I don't need a lot of tape, I just need it to hold down the mask. And so here we go. And a little more on the other side. Now, we're going to need something in addition to the mask and the tape. We're going to need to pull in some sticky notes. And, you know, I just got these, I think I got these at the dollar store. And I got them for this purpose. So, I'm just going to use those to make sure that I don't get ink where I don't want it. Because if you haven't guessed yet, the only size of the square that I want is this smaller one. So it's not this regular square. This is kind of like a brick rectangle shape. And I'm going to bring in my memento. And again, I use this blending tool. That's because I don't want to use one of my blending brushes because I would only use it for black. And I don't really use black this much. So I just pull out these. I've had them for a long time. I think you can get them at any big box store. They do have a pad here that soaks up your ink, and it's got Velcro on the bottom, which is what sticks it to this like cork thing here. And so when you go to wash them, you just take off that pad and wash it. Or if you, I think it comes in a package. Well, I had it for a long time, but if my memory serves me, and I wouldn't count on it too much, but I think they come in a package of 2 or 3. And then you can buy these pads. They're really cheap. So you could just have the pad for each individual color if that's the way you go. I use these for this, like I said, for this specific purpose. But if I could only get one tool for ink blending, it would be the blending brushes. And then we also have daubers. So those are great, but I think I like the handle thing a little better than the dauber for this application. All right, so enough of that. Let's just go ahead and get started. So I am going to kind of move or turn around this cardboard, and I almost forgot. I'm going to get my piece of copy paper because we want to make sure that we can ink off the bulk of the ink that goes in the first time that you ink it up. And I'm just going to start blending my ink. And remember, I told you, so this is something to always consider. I used to think, oh my gosh, that's going to be super black. But then when you pull it up, it isn't. So it's a kind of an optic illusion. And I just got my finger in the ink. It's kind of an optic illusion. So if you need to, if you're unsure, go ahead and look. All right, so I feel like I've gotten that space. And now we know that I know that I want to use the same size of these squares, or these are actually rectangles. So I'm going to move up my mask because all the other squares or all the other spaces are square. And so I'm just going to move it up. And because we lined it up with the edges, if we keep that line or keep lining it with the edges, then we're going to, this part of what we're going to be blending or inking up is going to be straight. Okay, and once I get it there, I'm going to secure it. I'm going to go ahead and use my sticky notes again so I don't get ink where I don't want it. But now we're going to need to add some down here because this area is not protected by the mask, and we don't want to, we took great pains to have that shape there, so let's not mess it up by not protecting it. So I'm just going to put those sticky notes again, and we're just going to keep doing this. It won't take long, so just bear with me. And I do hold this down because maybe you saw that I didn't put any tape on this side. I may regret it, hopefully not. And this moved on me. Wow, am I lucky? So that is one thing about these cheaper sticky notes. Sometimes they don't stick as good, right? So let's not use these anymore because I feel like they lost their sticky. And because they're cheap, we can just use some more. All right, so I'm going to move this mask again. And you can see that we're creating a, we're covering this layer with the kind of brick, I call it a brick design. And I am going to use fresh sticky notes. because I really don't want to ruin that design I worked so hard for. So here we go with that. And I do want to apologize if today is garbage day, good old Thursday. So you may hear those big trucks. Okay, we're just going to continue. Now while I'm doing that, I did share with you that you can find not this, but all the other items so far are not the sticky notes. All the other items you can find in my online store. So if you head on over to Rita's Paper Motif, on the home page at the bottom, you can get to the online catalog. All right, so I'm just going to keep doing this until I'm finished. Now, I don't feel like I need to, well, let's just continue. It does take a minute to do these cards, but you know what? I don't mind if I really like what I end up with, then to me it's worth it. So, and I do often like to make cards that don't have a lot of, don't weigh a lot, because we save on postage. And also, if it's a card I'm taking to my friends at the retirement center so they can send to their friends, then I want to keep in mind that the thing about postage. So I also know that when I finish with a card and it's kind of flat, that I feel like something's missing. So finding that happy medium is something I think about a lot. Okay, we are finishing up here. So just a little patience on your part, please. And I'm just gonna pull these off. Now I am gonna do something that is kind of different, and that is I am going to turn this mask around, and the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going way off the page, and I need some control here. And so something you need to think about with your masks is I have a little bit of ink right here. I think I can fix that, but that is because my mask moved on me. So, note to self is maybe it's better to go ahead and not leave that side without tape, but we'll fix it. Okay, I'm searching for the edge of the tape. Here we go. Well, I thought we were going to go here. I'm not going to fight with it right now. So let's see. We'll just go ahead and put this here. And I am definitely going to want to hold this down. The other thing to remember is when we have that circular mask there, we don't have to worry about it. So let's continue to move this. And after this, we only have one more move, and then we can move on with our card. So, how many of you have created just using the black memento? I usually like a lot of color on my cards, but I did find this to be interesting. And I also wanted to tell you, where that circle is, I'm going to show you how I used it, but I did also make a card using some other masks that I've collected, and it also turned out nice. But because I know that other mask that I used, that you can't get it because it's retired, I decided not to do that today. So this is, the whole thing of this is to share with you ways to use your masks, and if that mask is not available, kind of seems like an oxymoron a little bit there. So, okay, so one last blend with the black. So what is different about this tool is you go in small, I go in small circles, whereas if you had the blending brush, you would go in maybe bigger circles. Okay, I do believe we're going to be done. Let's pull this off now and see. Get rid of those. And there we are. And so now I'm going to show you how I go about decorating this, and then I'm going to show you the finished product there. Okay, so we're going to put this mask, we're going to get it cleaned up. We can use our chamois. And what I do is I just put my mask over here. Just get out the chamois and get that ink off. If you didn't have the chamois, you could use a wet rag. I think I did use a wet rag on Monday. And also I used a pan of water because we were using items that will, if you let them dry, it's going to mess up your mask. So if you're using glitter paste and you're using glue, you want to get those off your mask as soon as you can. All right, so here we are with that layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off that circle, and it kind of, it's hidden, right? That's what it's supposed to do. So we're just going to pull off that circle, and now we have a just a plain white area there. And then I'm going to pull up this card, this layer, and take off my donut. And now we have this layer. Now remember I told you that I have a little bit of ink here. I'm not going to do it on camera here, but if you have a white gel pen, you could go in and you could touch up any of those areas. You can prevent this by making sure that sorry, I have to wipe the ink off on my fingers here. You can prevent that by making sure you really tape down that mask. And so I do have a finished project so that you can see what it, let's finish here and then I'll show you that project. So then what I did with all of this is I thought, okay, I want something in the middle. Even though I'm going to stamp the sentiment, I still want something. But again, remember my goal was to not put a lot of, to not have it lifted up, not a lot of elevation on here. So what I did is I took this flower from the Color and Contour stamp set. So it's this flower right here. I used my Memento and I stamped it on a scrap of white, basic white, and then I just fussy cut it out. And I'm going to put that right there, so that gives it a little bit of decoration because we don't want a plain card, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the sentiment. And the sentiment I want is that you're absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to get that out. And of course, I don't know about you, but it seems like when I use my stamps and put them back, sometimes I just use them so much that they kind of fall off of that sticky part there, or they, yeah. All right, so I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to pull out that memento again. And now we have to be very careful because normally we will stamp. Normally we will stamp on our sentiment strip before we glue it, before we stick it. So stamp before you stick. But we don't have that option now. So I need to be very careful. And I am going to, on that paper that we used when we were blending, is I'm going to make sure I have it straight. And I do. And we're just going to tap a little more. After using so much ink blending, I do need to re-ink my memento. So I am going to stick this, or stamp this, I should say. I want to stamp it right over here. So let's see, I need to get it straight. So I'm pulling it, sorry. And so there it is. So that's stamped, and we'll wipe off our stamp. We can put away that ink. And just before I go ahead and put my flower on here, I wanted to put this on that black layer. So let's go ahead and do that. And you want to get that as centered as you can. Sometimes it's easier if you lay it down, then you can see all the sides. That's sometimes easier. But using the glue gives you the option to manipulate the card, because the glue has a little bit of downtime before it dries, just a few seconds. But sometimes that's all you need, right? And for video's sake, that is a better idea, even though, oh, well, I'm getting better. I used to use so much glue, and it was I had to really train myself. All right, so now I want to put this flower right here. The other thing I want to do is I want to put a bow on here. I just couldn't help myself. Remember I said I wanted it flat. Well, I do want it flat, but I just can't help myself. So let's just, I'm using this ribbon. I raided my ribbon drawer. Now this ribbon, I don't know where I got it. It's kind of heavy. So if you're going to do ribbon, maybe you want to do something a little not so heavy. And let's just go ahead and make this bow. But I did want to use it up, and it will use it up, right? And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. And I'm moving the, or trying to manipulate this leg of the bow, because the opposite side does not have black and white on it, and when I made my bow, that's kind of what happens, right? So let's see here. I think I'm gonna have to trim it a little bit more. There we go. Now I'm gonna put that right down there. I'm gonna use a glue dot to do that. So I just put the back of the ribbon. I'm having a issue with this turning it, so let's see here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and find my glue dot. I'll stick this like this on there, and I'll pull off that glue dot, so that glue dot is on the back of my bow, and I'll just put that right there. Now you could use dimensionals on your flower if you wanted to. I'm going to use a glue dot because, again, I already went against my original idea to not have a lot of bulk in my card by using that bulky ribbon. So I'm going to kind of try to keep it down a little bit. So, you know, then you could decorate with gems if you wanted to, or buttons. Some black buttons might be nice. So I'm not going to, because again, I wanted to keep the weight down and the size down. So the only thing I would have to really do here is go back and fix that black ink that I have there. And like I said, a white gel pen will work. So this is the first card I did. And then this is the one that we did today. So you can see there down right over the card. It's easier to kind of be a little more consistent with your spacing. But all in all, once I clean that up, I'm happy with it. And then on the inside, you could put whatever message you want on there. You could even stamp another one of those flowers in there if you wanted to. Whatever works for you. Sometimes I like to do stitch. If there's like dots, like on my bow, there's dots. I might go in and just do like a little stitching with dots on here, just to tie it all together. All right, so there's that. You can use any colors you want. I just used black because I was trying to do something different. So the next card we're going to make, again, we'll start with a 11 by 4 1/4 size card base, and then you take your, of course, your bone folder that I just, oh, here it is, and we're going to use that to reinforce that fold. And if you don't have a bone folder, I'll tell you what, I have like 4 or 5 of them, I think. So I just keep them handy. But they are a great tool, and they are great for securing those fold lines. So the other thing that I'm going to do for this card is I'm using, again, that same 3 3/4 by 5 basic white rectangle here. That's what we're going to be inking up. But I'm going to veer off of using the black like I normally do. And this is Pacific Point. So this is going to be my layer that sits on my basic white card base. And this measures 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm just going to set these over here, and we're going to work on this. So I'm going to get out that cardboard, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same scrap paper, but I'm going to turn it over because I don't want to be touching that ink that I laid there. And I'm also going to lay this over. Once it dries, it's not such a big deal for me, but I think I'm going to be a little more careful this time. So we're going to go ahead and lay down our basic white. And this time I want to use the plaid or butcher block mask. And I'm going to secure that down as well. And like I said, this time I'm going to line it up so that the basic white is in the middle. And we're just going to put our tape on all 4 sides. We don't want it moving because this one would maybe not be so easy to fix. All right. And I want you to, if you, I'm going to give you a tip that is really innovative and fun, so stick with me. All right. So we're going to take our Granny Apple Green, excuse me for the reach, and that's the ink that we're going to be using. So let's just pull it out. We're going to get our green blending brush, or the brush that is used for the green ink. And I do just kind of want to, even though this is a dark green, just kind of want to get any residue off. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ink it up. Remember that once you ink up your blending brush, you do kind of want to rub it against that paper, because if you go straight from the ink pad to the card base, it could tend to be splotchy. And so I want an even blend. So I'm just going to start blending that green in. And this is the only mask we're going to use right here for this. And I kind of wanted to go up almost to the middle of the basic white. And you notice that I'm not too concerned about masking it off with the sticky notes. And I'll show you why. So we're just going to get that green on. What I'm trying to hint at is that this would be grass. And so, for me, I have a thing with grass. I don't, even the stamps, and I've seen some dies that are supposed to help you with the grass, it never seems kind of right. So I feel like if I'm going to make a special cut to make it look like grass, I want it to actually look like grass. So since I'm not comfortable with what I end up with, I'm just going to go whimsical the whole way. So the green will, and when we finish, it will represent grass, and I'll be okay with that. All right, so we're done with that green. We are also sort of finished with this mask. I'm just going to, again, clean it off because I will be needing it. So let's clean it off. I want it to dry while I'm doing something else here. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we're going to just put that there so it can dry. All right, so I want this is going to look like the grass, and I think it's okay that it's kind of slanted. Grass is, right? It's not completely straight. And it's already plaid and not spiky like grass is. So I'm going to go ahead and take my specific point now, and I'm going to do a sky. Now, you know when we were little and we would do our little drawings, do you ever remember like doing the sky, just a portion of it? But when you do look out into the sky, although we haven't seen sunny skies for a while, but you see that where the land is, you see the sky directly behind it. So we want to do the same thing with our, I'm going to turn this over here so that I'm not wiping off on green. And I'm just going to start blending the blue. Now I don't have to make it, I don't have to have it a consistent, it can be like lighter blue in certain areas and darker blue, because that's how the sky is sometimes. So, and I want to blend on down to the grass, so you see that you don't have a harsh line there. And I did have like a white spot there. I'm just trying to kind of make it so not so white. So I'm trying to give the illusion of clouds. All right, so I think we're through with that. So we'll put that back, get rid of this ink. All right, so this is our backdrop. We're going to just kind of let it sit over here on this side. But there's something I wanted to show you. So this, what I'm wanting to do is make this an Easter card. So I am going to go ahead and glue it onto the back here just to kind of use up some of these pieces here. But what I wanted was to make an Easter card. So I was thinking, well, let's see, what do we think about when we think about Easter? We think about bunnies, we think about flowers. But since this is already kind of whimsical with that grass, I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do an Easter basket, or a basket with Easter eggs. And so that's what we're going to do. Let's see here. I'm going to put this basket. Now again, I don't have a die for a basket. And I thought, okay, even if I did, would I have the size I want? I don't know. So here's what I did. is I took the largest oval I have and I ran it through my cut and emboss machine and had an oval. Then I took the oval die that is just a size smaller and I put it here, but I knew I didn't want to cut out a frame because that's what would happen if I just ran it through the machine like with that smaller oval on the bigger oval. So what I did is I put this halfway, so like with your cut and emboss machine, you usually will put your die and then you make your sandwich and you run it through your machine, right? So what I did was I laid this oval, so imagine it being a complete oval. I laid it here with the bottom part hanging off, so it doesn't have any part of the sandwich. The other thing that you can do too is you can put it on that one part of the sandwich and then just put your die on and then just put your top layer that way. So what happens is this part that doesn't have the proper sandwich, your die won't cut the rest of that oval. So you get what we call a half cut. And so this is what I ended up with. Now I wanted it to, so then this part flipped up. What I did is I just cut it where, you know, where it was hanging off the plates, the sandwich. And then then it would have been square. So then I just kind of cut just like a little dip. And so now, you know, this is brown. It would, you could use any color. If you have some early espresso, you could use that. This is crumb cake. But I'll tell you why I chose the crumb cake, because I want to give it a basket feel. So again, I'm going to take that, the butcher block masking die, or mask, sorry. And I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to, ever so lightly, I'm going to take, you can either use crumb cake or you can use early espresso. I'm going to use early espresso, and I'm going to get my blending brush. And I want to give it some ink so it looks like basket weave, right? Okay, and so let's see here. We're just going to and I want to do, I'm not doing this very heavy-handed. I'm doing it ever so light, and I did want to look at it to see how it looks. So I didn't even get it. It's because the light changed here in my studio. It was so super bright, and then, okay, so we'll just go through here. Now let's see. I just want a little bit. It doesn't, see, it's not very much. It's just ever so slight, and that's what I wanted. So now I'm finished with that. And now we have that basket, and so I'll show you how I finished it off. So I'm going to take my glue, and I want to just put a little bit of glue right down here on the bottom. I should have put my glue, put the cap on my glue. I didn't, but here we go. So just a little bit of glue right here on the bottom. And this, the reason I'm just putting a little bit is because we're going to fill our basket, right? And so that will kind of stabilize the basket. All right, so then what I did is I took my smallest oval die and I just cut out some ovals. Now, I know that eggs are not oval. I know they're ellipse, but I also know that grass isn't checkerboard. So anyway, so we're just going to take the ovals And we're going to use those. And I thought I had one more here. Let's see. Yep, I do. So I just dug into my scrap bin and just got some colors that would work for eggs. Now, you definitely can like put prints on them if you want to make them look like decorated eggs. I didn't. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start taking these and I'm going to start gluing them in the basket. This is why I didn't want to glue it all the way down. And we know that if you're looking at a basket of eggs, that they're going to be, some will be higher than the others, right? And I'm just going to lay them in here like that. And we should have something that looks like some decorated eggs. Okay, and one more. And so you can be strategic when you're cutting your ovals, whatever colors you want, obviously. All right, so now we have those eggs, and I am going to put some glue now on this part here that is the handle for our basket, because I don't want that flopping around. It's not very thick, so we don't want to stress it out and possibly it break. All right, so then I just took a little circle, and of course I have to have a sun, right? So you could put the sun anywhere you want. I'm going to put it right here. Right here. You could also do some circles and put some bunnies if you wanted. But I wanted to use and show you how to use that the mask in a different way. So here's another way to use your mask. So put that aside. I'm talking about this mask right here. So I thought I wanted like a golden egg, and I don't even know how that came to my mind, but I thought, okay, so if it's going to be golden, I really want it to have some personality. So here's what I did. I took this mask and I put it on top of some gold foil. I made like a little envelope with some copy paper. And so I folded it in half, and so laid this way, and then I used a piece of cardstock on top of that. Nope, I did it this way. Then I used some cardstock on top of that, and I ran it through my cut and emboss machine. And what the paper does is, number one, I felt like I really wanted to be sure I protected that mask, right? Because I'm thinking, I don't know how, I mean, we know that there's pressure with those rollers in the cut and emboss machine. So I really kind of wanted to protect that because I had not used the masks that way before and I wasn't certain. So that's why I did this piece of white copy paper. And then I knew that the masks are flat, and I thought, okay, so when you dry emboss, those impressions that you get are raised. That's not the case with the mask. So I just gave it another shim, or a little bit more, filled in the gap a little more. And also, as you keep using your cut and emboss machine, those plates get kind of scratched up, and so I just wanted a good clean impression is what I wanted. So that's why I used this. I ran it through, and I want to show you. Now I really do hope you can see this, because it's awesome. So if you look up here, hopefully you can see it. There is, can you see it? I know that the light is kind of, well, I hope that you can see it. So what I did is when I ran this through, it gave that textured look. And then I just used my oval die and I cut out another oval shape. And then what I decided to do was, I'm gonna go ahead and place this on my card, just because that oval egg that we used the mask as like a embossing folder, I want that to shine, and I'm gonna make that the last hurrah, I think. Well, actually it won't be, because we're gonna do one other thing, but let's get this on here. And I'm gonna tell you that you're barely gonna see some white with this Pacific point, and that's okay, that's what I wanted. And then I'm going to take some glue, put it on that foil. Let's see, I didn't get enough. All right, and I'm gonna stick it right in here. So now I have my little golden egg on the side. You could put it in here if you wanted to. Here's the card that I made before we came on, and as you can see, I don't have a sentiment strip, do I? So we're going to do that too. So I also took another die that I had, and I don't, it's not a Stampin' Up die. I don't know where I got this, but I've had it for a very long time. I've been paper crafting for 30 some years, so I don't recall where I got this. But what it does when you run it through your die cutting machine is you'll get this tag shape. And then I just took my crocodile and did punched a little hole. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see here. Okay, and then I took some black twine, and I'm going to stick it through that little hole so you can see here. What happened to my little... so I'm going to take some of that twine and stick it through the little hole here. I knocked off my bow there when I have a little bit of glue on my fingers, and it's gonna cause some difficulty here. Okay, so here we go. And we're just going to make a loop or stick the tail through the loop. And I have too much twine, I know that, but that's okay. And the hello that I just stamped hello on here. And again, that hello came from the Heavenly Hollyhocks stamp set. And I wanted a small hello because I'm not sure on the inside exactly what I'm going to put in there. So sometimes when I send out my cards, I have, you know, I may write a little more to some people or a message, and some I just sign my name. So not knowing which, how I'm going to use it, I didn't, I'll stamp Happy Easter wherever I need it, depending on what kind of message I'm sending, okay? And so, I'm going to get a glue dot because that's what I'm going to use here for that string. I am going to cut it first. And I want it just to kind of dangle a little, so I need to cut it a little more. And I'm going to get my take a pick tool, and I'm going to get a glue dot, and I'm going to put it right up here, and I'm going to put that twine right on it. Okay, and then I am going to cut some of that off. Okay, now you can do a couple of things here. On this basket, I used white ribbon. I have to get this glue off my hands. It's just pulling everything up here. All right, you can use the white ribbon. I also, remember I was rating my ribbon box drawer, and so you could also use, I think green would be cute too. So I'm going to use green on this one. Again, I'm going to get that glue dot, put it on the back of my bow. And I'm going to put it right over that thread or that twine. Okay, so now we have, I think it's a cute little card. A couple things you can do different if you want. Some ideas is that you could stamp hello on both sides if you wanted to, so that it doesn't matter how it flops over. If you wanted to do a bow with some twine, you could definitely do that. So it's just really up to you how you want to do it. But, you know, and as you look at this, so you can see each background is a little bit different. We talked about that earlier. So each time you make the card, it may be just a little bit different. But the thing that I wanted to show you is don't be afraid to use your mask. I actually used it. I feel good because I was like brave. I mean, that's not something... If I ruined my mask, I might be very upset at myself. So I'm very glad that it worked out. Anyway, so you can use those masks for a lot of things. And then I just put some of these gems here. Now I've had these for a while, but you could use any gems you wanted. You could use some gold gems. You don't even have to use gems because I think with that gold egg, I think there's plenty here. So it's really, truly up to you. I'm going to pull this to the side so I can get this last gemstone where I want it. And I often will do this. I think it's my scrapbooking stuff that makes me do this. I often will put my little dots like in a cluster of 3. So I'll do that. So now let's look at what we did today and talk about it just a little bit, and then I am going to bid you a good weekend. So let's look at that. So here's the 2 cards where we used the mask as an embossing folder. So, and then we used the butcher block mask for the grass, and also to give the basket a little bit of definition. Now you can see this is the early espresso basket with no, I didn't use the mask to give it definition, and here's the crumb cake, and I did use that mask for definition. And then we used that Art Deco mask along with our gold. In my studio is another thing that is, it's guarded. So I tried to be very strategic with it because it comes in 12 by 12 sheets, and you don't get, you know, like your regular cardstock comes in a big package. So if you have 3 or 4 sheets, even though it's 12 by 12, that can go quickly. So I really try to be careful how I use this because I love it. And so we used these 2 masks with this card. And then we also created this card today. And we masked it off with the circle dies, and again, grab something from the ribbon drawer. You could use your twine, and then definitely you would keep the thickness down. So this one I did before, and with that one, we used that square mask. And we just kept moving it. So we just used this portion down here and kept moving it. All right, and then we did talk about how when you have a faux pas, like this right here, you can take your white gel pen and you can just cover that up. You could also try using the ink blender to soften it up. But because black on white is pretty stark, I would go with a gel pen. I have even, sometimes when my gel pen's not running real smooth, because if you store it upside down, it's going to take a while for that ink to get to the bottom, right? I have even used a white colored pencil to mask off that faux pas. So 2 more cards that we used with the masks in alternative ways. Now, you know, let me know which one you like. And then also, I just want to encourage you to, you know, get yourself some masks and collect them. And then you can use them in all kinds of different ways. So, I want to thank you for spending time with me today. And I hope that you have a great weekend. And I'll see you back next week. And have a good weekend. Bye now.